Welcome back to Revenge Chronicles, where we share stories of ordinary people who found extraordinary strength when pushed too far. Whether you're new to our channel or a long-time viewer, today's story will remind you that sometimes the quietest voices carry the most powerful truths. Stay with us as we uncover how one mother's love became the weapon that brought down her abuser. The first time I hit record on my phone, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely press the button. It was 2:47 a.m., and Marcus was screaming at me again because dinner had been too cold 6 hours earlier. Our 3-year-old Emma was crying in her room, and baby Jake was somehow still sleeping through it all in his crib next to our bed. "You're worthless, Sarah. Can't even heat up food properly." His voice carried that familiar edge that meant his fist would follow soon. I'd learned to recognize all the warning signs over our 5 years of marriage. I pretended to cower like always, but this time my phone was hidden in my robe pocket, capturing every vile word. Emma's sobs from down the hall made my heart break, but they also gave me strength. She was old enough now to understand that Daddy hurt Mommy. I couldn't let her grow up thinking this was normal. The recording was 3 minutes and 47 seconds of pure hatred. When he finally stormed out to sleep on the couch, I saved the file with a date and time stamp. It was the first of many. For the next 4 months, I documented everything. Every thrown plate, every threat, every time he grabbed my arm so hard it left fingerprints. I kept my phone charging at all times and learned to start recording without looking. I photographed every bruise, every hole he punched in the wall, every broken dish. The hardest part wasn't the physical pain anymore. It was pretending nothing had changed while I built my case. I smiled when he wanted me to smile. I cooked his meals exactly how he liked them. I never mentioned the recordings, never let my newfound determination show in my eyes. But inside, I was transforming. Every piece of evidence I gathered made me stronger. Every documented threat reminded me that I wasn't crazy, that this wasn't normal, that my children deserved better. Emma started having nightmares. She'd wake up screaming, and when I'd comfort her, she'd whisper, "Is Daddy going to hurt you again, Mummy?" Those words were like daggers, but they also fueled my resolve. I researched domestic violence laws during Emma's nap times. I learned about restraining orders, about emergency custody provisions, about how recorded evidence could be used in court. I memorized the numbers for shelters and legal aid organizations. The breaking point came on a Tuesday evening in March. Marcus had been drinking since he got home from work, angry because he'd been passed over for a promotion. I'd kept the children upstairs during dinner, sensing the storm coming. When Emma accidentally spilled her juice cup while coming downstairs for water, Marcus exploded. "Get back here, you little brat," he screamed, lunging toward her. I stepped between them instinctively, and his hand connected with my face so hard I saw stars. But worse than the pain was the look of terror in Emma's eyes. She'd seen him hit me before, but never while she was looking directly at us. "Mummy," she cried, running toward me. "Stay back, Emma," I managed to say, tasting blood. My phone was already recording in my pocket. "Don't you dare tell her what to do," Marcus snarled. "Maybe she needs to learn what happens to people who don't listen." The threat against my daughter was the last straw. In that moment, I knew I had enough evidence. More importantly, I knew I had the strength to use it. The next morning, while Marcus was at work and the children were at daycare, I went to the police station. I brought my phone with 43 recordings, my laptop with dated photographs of injuries, and a detailed timeline I'd been keeping. Detective Rodriguez listened to 3 recordings before stopping me. "We have enough here for immediate charges. Do you have somewhere safe to go?" I'd already arranged everything. My sister lived 2 states away and had been begging me to leave Marcus for years. She'd agreed to let me and the children stay with her indefinitely. That evening, when Marcus came home, 2 police officers were waiting in our driveway. I watched from my sister's kitchen table as they arrested him, finally allowing myself to cry tears of relief instead of pain. The recordings were devastating in court. Marcus's lawyer tried to claim they were taken out of context, but 43 separate incidents spanning 4 months told a clear story. The bruise photos, time-stamped and medical documented, supported every audio file. Emma didn't have to testify, but her nightmare recordings from my phone helped establish the psychological impact on the children. The judge listened to Marcus threaten a 3-year-old, and his expression turned to stone. "Mr. Thompson, you've been found guilty of domestic violence, child endangerment, and terroristic threatening. I'm sentencing you to 5 years in prison with no possibility of early parole." As they led him away in handcuffs, Marcus looked at me with pure hatred. But for the first time in years, his anger didn't scare me. I'd found my voice, and it had been louder than his fists. The restraining order was permanent. I got full custody of both children and our house. His parental rights were terminated after the criminal conviction. 6 months later, Emma stopped having nightmares. She laughs now in a way I'd forgotten was possible. Baby Jake, who's walking now, will never remember living in fear. They'll grow up knowing that when someone hurts you, you don't just endure it. You document it, you speak up, and you fight back with the truth. I kept one recording on my phone, not as evidence but as a reminder. Sometimes when I doubt myself or worry I made the wrong choice, I play back Marcus threatening our daughter. Then I remember that the woman who stood silent for years found her voice just in time. My children are safe. My home is peaceful. And somewhere in a prison cell, Marcus is learning what it feels like to be powerless. I found my strength in the middle of my darkest moments, and it saved all 3 of our lives. If this story resonated with you, please consider subscribing to our channel. We share these stories not for entertainment, but to remind survivors that they're not alone and that justice is possible. Thank you for watching this episode of Revenge Chronicles. Your courage to listen to these difficult stories helps break the silence that protects abusers. Until next time, remember that your voice matters, and sometimes the evidence you gather in your darkest moments becomes the key to your freedom.